The WWE title, arguably the biggest prize in professional wrestling. The one belt the majority of wrestlers aspire to one day hold, and Big Goldie too, let's not forget WWE's other classic World Championship. Between the pair of them, there have been over 190 reigns. We've seen the good, the bad, and the far too brief. And that is what we are looking at today, those title wins that unleashed a wave of euphoria and optimism throughout the WWE fanbase, then were over in the blink of an eye, usually as the status quo was restored. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 WWE Championship reigns that should have lasted longer. Join us. Number 10, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is one of the most outlandish characters in recent memory, with a strong aura and presence about him. But he is one performer who has suffered more than any other thanks to poor booking and creative. In early 2017, the Eater of Worlds was on a tear, making the final 3 of the Royal Rumble, then bagging a place in the WWE title Elimination Chamber match. On the night, Bray overcame the likes of AJ Styles, John Cena, and Dean Ambrose to win the belt, setting up a WrestleMania showdown with Rumble winner and Wyatt family brother Randy Orton. The two met at Mania in a major misfire of a match, more remembered for Kevin Dunn's spooky bollocks insect projections than any in-ring action. Making things even worse, Orton unnecessarily beat Wyatt to win his umpteenth world title, ending the reign at a weak 49 days. Still, I suppose it could have been worse. He could have lost in 3 minutes to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. Number 9, Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy has always been super popular with a dedicated fan base, but that fan base really started to make themselves heard when the charismatic enigma returned to WWE in 2006. After runs in the Intercontinental and tag title scenes, the company's decision makers could hardly ignore the thunderous crowd reactions he received or the mountain of merchandise he shifted as Jeff beat Triple H at Armageddon 2007 to become the #1 contender to Randy Orton's WWE title. Orton would retain the title at Royal Rumble 2008, but Jeff would again challenge for the gold, this time coming up short against Triple H in a pair of thrillers at No Mercy and Cyber Sunday 2008. Eventually, Jeff came up trumps, beating Edge and Hunter at Armageddon, capping off a year plus of trying to win the big one. It was a joyous scene, but just 42 days later at the Royal Rumble, Jeff fell in his first major defense, losing to Edge in a no DQ match when Brother Matt turned on him. The bastard. Number 8, Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan had already shown that he could hold a main title during his 2011 to 2012 World Heavyweight title run, but after his popularity exploded in 2013 due to his work in Team Hell No, the fans chose Bryan as their guy. John Cena agreed, handpicking Bryan as his opponent at SummerSlam 2013, with the GOAT beating Cena clean in the main event. Unfortunately though, special guest ref Triple H helped Randy Orton cash in Money in the Bank, with Bryan's reign over in minutes. Bryan would eventually beat Orton at Night of Champions to win the title back, but only for a day due to a controversial finish. Although Bryan was eased out of the title picture in favor of Cena, Orton, and Big Show, the super vocal Yes movement ensured that Bryan made it to the main event of WrestleMania 30, winning the unified titles on the grandest stage. Sadly though, what could have been an epic reign was cut short due to injuries, ending it at 65 days. Thankfully, he would have a more substantial run 4 years later. Number 7, Edge. Propelled by the real-life love triangle with Matt Hardy and Lita, Edge became the sleazy, must-watch, rated-R superstar and upped his game in every respect. WWE, realizing his potential, booked Edge to win the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21. Edge carried the briefcase around everywhere, but since he was the first person to hold it, there was no expectation or clue as to when he would cash it in. When he did so on John Cena at New Year's Revolution, it was instantly iconic and solidified Edge as a true main eventer. In the following weeks, Edge demonstrated that he could be a ratings draw too, as fans tuned into Raw in their droves to see what/who he was doing. It was exciting, different, and 3 weeks later, it was over, as Cena regained the title at the Royal Rumble. In fact, most of Edge's WWE title reigns were of a transitional nature, with the longest of the 4 clocking in at just 76 days. Number 6, Big Show. 2002 started kinda quiet for the Big Show, but his fortunes changed when he was drafted to SmackDown in October, making an instant impact by attacking and kayfabe injuring The Undertaker, then becoming #1 contender to Brock Lesnar's WWE title. The next big thing hadn't had the belt for too long at that point, and was in the midst of an impressive undefeated streak, so the odds of Show unseating him weren't great. However, Brock was working with several niggling injuries, and WWE gave Show the win at Survivor Series, turning Lesnar babyface and Paul Heyman heel in the process. A rejuvenated Big Show running roughshod over the blue brand with Heyman could have been great, but 28 days later he lost the belt to Kurt Angle at Armageddon. Nothing was going to stop Angle versus Lesnar happening at WrestleMania, and Show was always going to be a way to get the title to Kurt so that Brock could chase, but it was a shame for Paul White. Number 5, Rob Van Dam. Despite being immensely over and mixing it up with top stars like Steve Austin and The Rock in main events, WWE were hesitant to book Rob Van Dam above a certain level after his debut in The Invasion, with Mr. Monday Night settling into the mid-card. After recovering from a severe knee injury in 2005, Van Dam returned with a renewed fire, winning the second ever Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21 before cashing in against John Cena at ECW One Night Stand 2. His first world title was worth the wait, and on the first episode of ECW on Sci-Fi, Paul Heyman gave RVD the ECW world title too, making him a double champ. Mere weeks later though, Van Dam and partner Sabu were arrested on possession charges. WWE suspended the champ for 30 days and booked him to drop both titles on the subsequent Raw and ECW shows. After years of being overlooked, it's unfortunate RVD's sole WWE title run went up in smoke. Number 4, The Undertaker. Despite being one of WWE's longest mainstays and beloved characters, The Undertaker didn't hold the top prize all too often or for too long. Of course, the argument could be made that the dead man didn't need to be WWE or World Heavyweight Champion since his gimmick was so strong and so over, and that his general lack of beatability made it hard to book him as effectively if he held the belt. Of all of his short reigns, his World Heavyweight title run in 2007 was the most disappointingly brief. He beat Batista in a blockbuster at WrestleMania 23, having won the Royal Rumble match for the privilege. At this point in time, Taker was lean, mean, and putting on the matches of his life. Regrettably, he soon went down with a torn bicep, necessitating surgery. That meant his reign would have to be cut short, so WWE engineered a scenario where Edge would cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, with the Phenom dropping the strap after a short 37-day reign. Number 3, Shawn Michaels. Similar to the case of Big Show we looked at earlier, Shawn Michaels won a world title at the 2002 Survivor Series, only to lose it the next month at Armageddon. For HBK though, his title win was even more special as he won it in the first ever Elimination Chamber match at Madison Square Garden in only his second bout back after improbably returning from a 4-year injury layoff. WWE gave Michaels the World Heavyweight title in a confetti-filled feel-good moment. However, it soon became apparent that Michaels was not yet back long-term and that the title reign was tokenistic in nature. HBK defended the title one time, a disqualification loss to Rob Van Dam on Raw, before giving it back to Triple H at Armageddon after losing a 3 stages of hell match. A 4-week reign with the big gold belt would have been fine had the showstopper captured another one before his 2010 retirement, but he didn't, and this felt like a missed opportunity. Number 2, Christian. Since returning to WWE in 2009, Christian's run with the ECW title seemed to be his ceiling until lifelong friend and tag partner Edge was forced to retire whilst World Heavyweight Champion. In a bid to move out of Edge's shadow whilst also paying tribute to him, Christian beat Alberto Del Rio in a ladder match at Extreme Rules 2011 to win the gold. The title win had been a long time coming for Captain Charisma, who was a great worker, popular, and a fresh face at the top of the card. But then, on the very next episode of SmackDown, he dropped it to Randy Orton. You know, the proper star. Luckily, he won it back a couple of months later at Money in the Bank, with Christian and Orton having a tremendous summer series that elevated not just them, but the title itself. Christian proved that he could carry the championship and deliver the goods, but he didn't get long to enjoy it, dropping it back to the Viper 28 days later in another belter at SummerSlam. Number 1, Mankind. 1999 was particularly bad for playing hot potato with the WWE title, as it flipped back and forth between the likes of Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, and Triple H. Mankind got in on the act too, lifting the big one on the January 4th episode of Raw, in a win that put a lot of butts in seats. 20 days later, and The Rock was champion again, for a week, when Mankind got the belt back once again, winning the rating smash halftime heat empty arena bout that aired during the halftime of the Super Bowl. And that lasted for 2 weeks, when The Rock once again regained it in a ladder match on Raw. There was simply no chance WWE weren't going to go with The Rock versus Austin for the title at WrestleMania, but it was harsh on the hard-working Foley. Mankind's third and final WWE title run that year lasted just 24 hours, winning the strap in a triple threat match at SummerSlam, only to drop it to Triple H the next night on Raw.